Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray as we roll into our 24th year on the air. And, yeah, I'm a little wired today, and this is going to be one of those shows, unforgettable shows. You know, just stick around with us, all you good folks in Memphis here on AM 790 and Jackson, Tennessee on News Talk 101.5 and Brownsville on 1520 AM and 95.3 FM, because we're going to Reelfoot Lake. What a great time that my wife Miriam and I had this past week. 3 days in heaven, just about, I would say that. We were up there at Blue Bank Resort as part of the Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp, hosted by our good friend Garry Mason, the founder and the CEO of the Legends of the Outdoor Hall of Fame. And we've got Garry on the line, and Garry is going to walk us through the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. Good morning, Garry.
Hey, Larry Ray, I'm ready to go, man.
We got some guests, don't we, Garry? Well,
we do. We've got Billy Blakley and we've got Drew Hayes both on here with us. And
right.
And man, I tell you what, them guys really put on the Ritz for us.
Well, let's talk, because Garry, you put this thing together. A great group of folks. The guys are wonderful. Let's talk with Drew first, because Drew's family, he and Michael and their mama Kathy, operate the Blue Bank Resort, which you guys just won an award, didn't you, Drew? I mean,
we did. We're actually pretty excited about that one. USA Today, #1 fishing lodge in the U.S.
In the U.S. That's pretty special when you're in the U.S. And that was a vote too, because you got votes. I guess you got votes everywhere, right? I mean, they were coming in.
They nominated 20 across the country. We were the only one in Tennessee and one, I think only 2 or 3 in the South.
Wow. Well, hats off to you, Drew and Michael and the family for doing stuff like this past 3 days that we were up there Monday through Thursday and hosting a great group that Garry put together. And Garry, I know before we talk to Billy Blakley, because I know he'll have a lot to say in a short period of time, before we talk about this, Garry, give our listeners out there a little hint about what took place up there at Blue Bank this past week.
Well, first of all, Larry, I want to say, Billy and I, along with Mike and his family, have been putting this outdoor rider camp on for a number of years, probably 12 or 13 years. And, of course, Mike, unfortunately, passed away here recently. And we just thought it would be really cool. Billy and I talked about it. We didn't tell Drew. We didn't tell Michael.
Oh, you didn't?
What we were going to do as far as what we were calling it. But we decided to call it the Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp. Mike was so involved,
wasn't he, though?
In bringing outdoor riders and TV people and people from all walks of the outdoors industry to Blue Bank Resort and hosted them. And he was such a gracious host, him and Kathy. And we just thought it very befitting if we changed the name of this and just made it a memorial to Mike. And gosh, if they'll have us, we're going to do this every year.
Well, I got to ask Billy, where would you be, Billy, without Mike Hayes?
Man, who knows where I'd be.
Really?
God, he come along.
Yeah. How old were you when you first started working there, Billy?
Well, I started doing this and that about 12 or 13, helping them do this and that. And 14, started working on the dock and guiding and everything else.
And so that resort is extra special to Billy. I know it is for your wife, Christy, too. I mean, you guys, this place is a special place. And how much fun is it, Billy? I know you, to take people out on that lake to fish.
Man, it just, every trip you go out there, it's a different day all in together, because you don't know. It's just fun watching people have fun.
And what were we catching, Billy, this time?
Bluegill.
Bluegill. Man, people were saying, you going to go up there and just fish for bluegill? Well, how much fun is it to catch bluegill out in Billy Blakley's boat there, Drew?
It's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh man, you actually get to do it too? Okay, I thought Billy might.
Only every once in a while. Normally, it makes me hold up the camera and film them the whole time.
That's exactly right. And Billy, of course, and Garry, I'm still humbled to be a member of the Legends of the Outdoor Hall of Fame. And, of course, Billy got up on the stage up there in Springfield, and as he usually does, he really did a good job recognizing my wife, Miriam. So
it's a good thing she was in that boat the other day, or we wouldn't have had no fish.
Well, who ended up on the front of the boat, Billy? I want to know, huh?
Well, I think it was the guy who had to tie 47 hooks on and 94 bottles.
As y'all can tell,
Billy told me that he had to call and order more hooks and more floats.
Well, I don't know, folks. You can go to LarryRay.com. We're posting pictures of Billy's hat, and this
yes, sir.
Yeah. No, so you can't see Billy, but he's under that hat somewhere. I can tell you that. I mean, it's an awesome thing. But these kind of events, Drew, and talk about the family there, because this thing goes back a long time. I know your grandma. Talk a little bit about the history of the resort.
So we actually are 5 generations in now.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's gone by a couple different names on the lake, but it was the first one was a hotel just in Tiptonville.
Yes.
And then we started a restaurant actually in the 60s, and then we've done both here at Blue Bank for 2 generations now here at this location.
And the restaurant has an official name. What's the name of the restaurant?
Right now, it's Blue Bank Fish House and Grill. You're asking me that as we're looking at rebranding it, but
that's what I heard. Well, it's still a great place. You guys serve a lot of great food, and I don't know, the menu we had, you couldn't top it. Of course, Billy's such a little fella; he doesn't eat much. I know, so. But
well,
I mean,
Larry, I'll tell you, I've been to Sunday dinners when there wasn't that much meat on the plate for the whole family. That prime rib was.
That prime rib was pretty nice to do it. And Billy, you the head of the guides, those guides really took care of us folks, and I know that's something that you emphasize is making sure people make memories, right, Billy Blakley? Yeah.
Yes, sir. If they do that, they'll come back forever and ever.
And we're going to talk to one guy, Jeff Riddle, later in the show, but we're going to have on next week's show, guys. We can't get everybody on there. I won't on, but we're going to have Jeremy Madley on next week, and we're also going to have Caleb Dunn, which I was done when I got through with Caleb. I can tell you that. I was worn out because, after fishing with Billy and then Jeremy and then come up with Caleb, who I did not know Caleb. But those guys, Billy, they do a great job. And so tell our people, before we let you guys go, a little bit about the guide service itself. You have some guys that really know that lake, don't you, Billy?
Yes, sir. Every one of them born and raised around it, been on it all their life. And it satisfies them to see people have a good time.
Yes, yeah. And that's all age groups, Billy. You have old people in there, too, like me, but also – and there's no telling how many kids have caught their first fish there, right? I mean,
yes, sir. I've took many a kids and plan on taking many more just to watch them catch their first fish, their first trip on real foot. That's something that sticks with you forever.
And we had some folks next to us in our room there at the resort. Were from Louisiana, and they caught 93 with a guide. So, folks, I'm telling you. If you want to look for that vacation spot, that memory making, and maybe we need to put that in the title someplace, Drew. I don't know, because you guys are in the memory making business. About how do they get in touch with you guys, Drew?
The easiest way is bluebankresort.com or our Facebook with Blue Bank Resort. But you can also call us at 731-538-2112. Just any way that anyone wants to talk to us, we can talk to them.
Social media, we got all of that. And Garry, I know we've known each other a long time, and you've former Northwest Tennessee tourism guide, and boy, I don't know how you keep up with what you do. We're going to be talking to Garry throughout the show, but throw in there, Garry, quickly about the Legend of the Outdoor Hall of Fame. It's coming up in August, right?
Oh yeah, and I do want to say and let the people know that we were the first ones to award Blue Bank Resort with our Legendary Location Award.
That's right.
So yeah. We got them first. That magazine got them second. But one thing I always tell people about Blue Bank Resort, it always feels like home.
It does. It does. A wonderful facility. You got the pool. You got all the landscape right there. And I don't know how many sunset pictures have been made at Blue Bank Resort, Drew, but you can't get a better sun. Somebody told me that sunset over Reelfoot Lake at Blue Bank Resort may be one of the most photographed places in the state of Tennessee.
There's no doubt about that.
Huh?
Maybe the nation.
I would say I actually know they have it on their website as one of their sites on Tennessee Vacation.
Do they really? Well, I'm sorry, but I did it too. I keep missing the sunrise. I don't know why nobody posts a sunrise there, but I got all the sunsets I can do out of that. But we're going to roll out a great show today, folks. If everything works out, man, you're going to learn a lot about Blue Bank Resort, but you're also going to learn a lot about some companies that Garry was able to put together to come up there for 3 days and took care of us and everything like that. But, hey, Billy, always great to share a boat with you, buddy. I know we make fun of each other, but
yes, sir. I enjoy it every time, Larry.
Yeah, I hope I've helped you along the way a little bit, Billy. Okay, I've given you.
Oh, you have. You just don't know.
I've given you the reputation, that's for sure. And I can tell you what, folks, the Hayes family, Drew, I miss your dad. I know you do. I know your mom does, and your brothers do, and everything like that. But you guys just keep that thing going, okay, Drew? All right?
We plan to, and I just appreciate y'all having us on, and Garry for setting up everything with us.
All right, guys. Thank y'all. Garry, you hang on. We're going to take our first break of the morning. We're going to roll here on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray as we feature one of my favorite events of the year. It's been going on for several years. Got a new name this year, which I really love, the Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp. At one of my favorite places to go, Blue Bank Resort on Reelfoot Lake, and we had a star-studded field. It's too bad they didn't feed us better. Yeah. Gary Mason.
Yeah, we were really hungry.
Oh, and we're hearing people here that with different voices of what we just had on. And it's even to say that we let Billy Blakley go, because that was not Billy Blakley. She snuck in there on me. But how about it, Gary? Who we got next here, Gary?
Man, I tell you what, we got Caroline Brewer Calton, and we got her dad, Charlie Brewer. I call him Chuck. He's been one of my best friends for more years than we care to admit. And they're here, and we're going to talk about Charlie Brewer slider stuff. And then also we got Monte Knight. Monte is the owner and inventor, creator of Thump Gel fish attractants and the Thump Net. One of my prized new possessions.
Well, I missed out on that net, but I think that'll come down the road. But, hey, welcome to all you guys and gals for being on Outdoors with Larry Ray as we roll into our 24th year here in Memphis. And you know, when I think of a lot of things we like to feature on Outdoors with Larry Ray, this just came to me, and I said, I don't know if we can do this, Gary, but let's try it. So this whole show is devoted to this earlier in the week, the Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp. And I had a chance to meet Monte Knight of Thump Gel Fish Attractants. And Monte, I said to you at that time, what's this little thing that I got here? What's this little thing that looks all these different colors and everything like that? And he said, it's Thump Gel. And I said, Thump Gel? You better explain that, Monte. What is Thump Gel?
Man, I tell you, it is absolutely a life-changing fish-catching machine when it comes to fish attractants and putting it on your baits. It's like a fish attractant that you've never seen before. One of the greatest things about our product is, you know, it appeals to a lot of the senses of a bass or any type of game fish. It has sight, scent, taste, and it also has a flash effect that looks like scales falling off of your bait. But one of the most important things, and hey, on a soft plastic bait, it will literally stay on your bait for 20 to 30 casts. Well, and it's also able to use it on hard baits like deep diving crankbaits, jerk baits, and rattle traps. And here's the best thing about that. One application that morning will stay on your bait all day long.
Well, you
So
know who you're sharing this segment with. If anybody knows baits, I think it's Caroline, who grew up with them, and I think it's Charlie Brewer too, Charlie. And you talk about a family business. You guys have been in it for a while, and I know Charlie, and you hear things and you know things. And I got to ask y'all, Charlie. I know we missed you at Blue Bank, but Caroline, it was so good to see you and talk about Charlie Brewer Slider Company and things along that line. And I got to ask you, Charlie, the fire is still there, buddy. I don't know, but what you have done and your family has done over all these many years is just remarkable to the industry. If anybody has seen the industry change, it's got to be you, because you come a long way from Crazy Head Lure Company. I mean,
in 54 years.
Yeah, 54 years, and I say, well, we must be doing something right because we're still here. But we try to develop products that will catch fish.
Yes.
That's our main goal: catch fish, and then hopefully catch a few fishermen later. But we like repeat customers and repeat business, and that's how you stay in business: treating people right and producing something that works. So we just stick with it. Occasionally we'll come out with some new products, but similar to what we've got, kind of staying in the same line, mostly smaller lures, mostly soft plastic. And we started out as a company on bass fishing back in late 60s and 1970 and on, and then got into crappie business probably in 76, 77. And so, the fish I like to catch that grew up with was fishing for bass, bluegill, and then later crappie. And right now, this time of year, the crappie kind of gets slow in our local lakes, but
and bluegill.
Bluegill are really hot.
Well, that's what I got to ask you, Caroline. You had to experience the resort, and I know you have been there, and I know, Monte, that was your first time. I got to get some impressions from you, Monte, about your first time at Blue Bank and Reelfoot Lake.
Man, what an amazing place. All I can say is wow.
Yes, yeah.
It was literally breathtaking. The view there, the sunsets was only thing is just like Garry said, only God can paint that picture. I mean, it was beautiful there. The food was absolutely amazing at Blue Bank Resort. Yeah. And the lodging there, man, everything was on point.
Well,
made me feel right at home.
We got to share a boat too, and that was good too, Monte. Good to, but of course, and Garry Mason, of course, is joining in on that. Everybody knows my wife can catch more fish than I can. I don't mind admitting that.
I'm glad you admit that.
Thank you, Caroline. I mean,
I'll tell you, Larry.
What?
I know that the three girls that was there outfished all the guys that was there. So
I know that.
Off to them.
Yeah. I know Bill Cooper, who's going to be on the show, and Diane was there. You really got three good ones. You put me under the pressure. Hey Charlie. At least I was the oldest one there, so I gave some maturity to the group.
I'm going to tell you about women fishing too. I fished a lot of years with my wife.
Yes.
And she always catches the biggest fish and doesn't even try.
Thank you.
Doesn't even try.
Thank you. I needed that, and when I get back home, that is, I've always said the guides, and Monte will probably agree with being a former professional angler himself and the years on the FLW. Monte, I know that there's, as Caroline just said, and it's on the air now, so I can't bring it back. The 10-second rule's over with. But patience is one of these things. But Monte, when I'm looking at, we got a new product, so to speak, right here that Monte has taken and come up with this thump gel with all these orange crush, Menna candy, cranking gel, trailer gel, chartreuse gel. Juice. It took me forever to learn how to spell chartreuse, much as I say it. And then on the same segment on Outdoors with Larry Ray, we got the Charlie Brewer Slider Company that has been around forever. And Charlie, talk the industry is always changing. And Caroline, talk about your experience at Blue Bank.
Oh, wow. Well, I've been there a couple times. The first time was a media camp several years ago. I went with my mom and dad.
Yes.
But the Hayes family they're so gracious
Aren't they?
to support us and to put this event out or, help back this event. The food's great. The setting is beautiful. They've got that beautiful butterfly garden and the lights and just the pool. Everything is wonderful. So we really appreciate them. But I fished somewhere a little different this time over there. I fished in one of the watersheds. I had not done that yet. So that was something new I was able to do this time. It's always something new to see and do.
I think Billy took you and Steve McAdams. Did y'all get to go to the watershed? Well, they stuck me. I'm not stuck. That's not a good one. I was putting a boat with 3 different guides. And I had the experience of it. Monte shared the boat with me. We had Jeremy, Natalie, right, Monte?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
what?
I witnessed firsthand how good of a fisherman your wife was. She put it on me, too.
Thank you, Monte. Let's get off this subject now. We only got 12 minutes here, But I do know, hey, folks, we got Jeremy Manley on next week's show because he had an experience that even Jeremy didn't mind mentioning. He went in the water. So just get ready for that next week. At least I wasn't in the boat with Jeremy. I've been in the boat with one. You were in the boat, Gary? You were in the boat?
I was in the boat with him, yeah.
Well, we may have to get you back on next week, Gary, to make sure you have a visitor because I've only been with one guy that went in the lake. And he went in a river one time, and he weighed 250 pounds, and I was looking for help. Because I couldn't get him.
I went running back there to pull him out, but while he was back there in the water, he decided to cut the fishing net out of his prop.
Yes.
So,
well,
and I got the pictures.
Well, he posted it on Facebook. So Jeremy's a great guy to do that. But Charlie, I know your company has been so significant in the industry, and it's really been as Monte's talked to me about. Your company is built around family, hasn't it, Charlie? That's the way it's been, right? Family.
Absolutely. And we got to work with a lot of crappie fishermen and later years.
Yeah.
And I like working with the bass tournament fishermen too, but they're dead serious. And the crappie fishermen, they're more family oriented. They'll be father, son, and husband, wife, and
yes,
and that type people. We like dealing with them and so we've done real well with the crappie folks over the years. And, of course, finesse fishing with bass, my dad came up with that term back
yes, he did.
Over 50 years ago, and it's still being used today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We're talking to Charlie Brewer and Caroline Brewer Calton. And I know Monte Knight. And let's before we let you guys go, Monte, tell our listeners out there how they get more information. Particularly about the thump gel and that new net. Where they go?
Oh, absolutely. They can go to thumpgel.com. That's GEL, not JAA.
Okay, this isn't Jello. Okay, all right. Okay.
And they can find us there. And I tell you what, spending that time with Caroline really got me excited again about going slider fishing. Hey,
there you go.
I'm excited. I'm fixing to put this gel on there, and we're gonna go thump them, buddy. I tell you.
There you go. And what you got, Caroline? What?
I was just going to tell Monte I used his gel on some of my little 1-inch grubs, and it was good stuff. It stayed on the whole day, and it was really neat. I'm anxious to try that some more.
There you go, Monte. You got to know that it was good stuff. That came from
Caroline,
that's
Caroline, he lives down there in Gunnersville, so we might have to sneak off down there and fish with him.
We'll do some field testing.
Well, I tell you what.
Field testing.
Hey, I was solidified with Monte when he told me that he and Will Fowler are friends from Frog Togs, and I'm a Frog Tog man. I'm a Frog Tog man.
Well, that's who introduced me, and I was Will.
Well, that's it. So, well, hey, we appreciate Charlie. We appreciate you forever for your family. Caroline, so great to see you up at Reelfoot. And Monte, we got a new friend here, buddy. I'm glad to hook up with you. We're going to stay in touch, and you'll be back on the show again, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. All right.
Good talking to you.
All right, we'll talk to y'all. Y'all have a great day. We'll be back. Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. Is what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming, and coming up on our 24th year right here on AM 790 in Memphis every Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30, and out there in Brownsville from 6 to 7:30 on 95.3 and 1520 AM, and of course in Jackson, News Talk 101.5, Jackson, Tennessee from 6:30 to 8. And we're rolling along with kind of a recap of the Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp at Blue Bank Resort on Reelfoot Lake earlier this week, and we've got the man that put it together, and we've also got one of his sidekicks here. I don't know which side he kicks, but we got him on here, and and that's our good friend.
He's the one that keeps kicking me in the side, keeps me going.
That's what keeps you going. Well, he's a good man. He's a good kicker. I know that. But Phillip Vanderpool is on with us right now. He is the host of the Virtual TV, co-host of Legend of the Outdoor TV, and he brought along a friend up to Reelfoot, which I was so glad to meet, Darrell Davis, out of God's country over there where Phillip lives, Jasper, Arkansas, in Newton County, where I know the sheriff. So then that's a pretty good deal when you know the sheriff, you know. But
exactly.
It's good to have Phillip and Darrell on it, and I know Garry. Thank you for co-hosting the show, and you and Phillip. Tell us a little bit about that relationship. How did you and Phillip? We got a 10-second button here, but I know.
Well, actually, Tommy Garner introduced Phillip and I, and of course, Tommy has been my longest-serving board of directors member for Legend Outdoors, and he nominated Phillip to go on the Hall of Fame. And of course, I immediately, knowing Phillip the way I do, I knew Phillip was a prime candidate, and nominee, and so we inducted Phillip into the Hall of Fame, and I walked up to him, and Abby Joe, my former co-host, had gotten married, and I had a set of twins, and I asked Phillip, I said, hey, would you consider co-hosting Legend Outdoors TV? And man, he jumped right on it and said, yes, I'd be honored, and the rest is history, so to speak.
Well, it's always good to see Phillip, and I know even in my days at the Gaston's media gathering, we would have picking and grinning, and we were fortunate sometimes there when Glenn Wheeler would bring over Phillip and some other guys, and we played some music, didn't we, Phillip? I mean,
hey, I tell you, we had some music, and I tell you what, you boys caught some fish, and we had an incredible time there.
We did, and when it would come back that night, and Rob Simbeck and Glenn Harris and everybody would pick and grin. Well, I don't know, but you guys, tell us about your relationship with Darrell here. How did that develop, Phillip?
Well, Darrell, I've known Darrell's mom and dad for years. I went to school at Jasper, and his folks went to school at Deer. And we basically were acquainted then, and then when I worked at Curtis Mathis Electronics, they bought all of their TVs and VCRs and stereos and everything from me over the years. And Darrell, had started playing. Of course, his dad played music, and that was the thing that we had in common because I was in a band years ago. And then I just luckily met Darrell, and we just kind of hit it off and started picking and grinning a little bit together, and I took him on some hunts with me, and we've just had the best time. And his son is following in his footsteps, playing the drums now in the band. It's awesome, but it's a pleasure because Darrell and their band are all simply off the charts, and Darrell's the front man, and his voice is incredible.
His voice is incredible, and Darrell, again, it was good to meet you up at Reelfoot, and you guys, y'all didn't need no microphones. Y'all didn't. Y'all were electrified when you got y'all singing some of the songs you did. So talk about this love of music, Darrell. How'd that develop?
Oh, well, I started, as Phillip said, my dad, he had a band back in the day, and I'd kind of been after him, kind of telling him that I thought I could play the drums, and then one night I just had the opportunity to get him behind a set of drums while they were playing some music, and the rest is kind of history, I guess. It started from there, and I became the drummer in their band, and then started to play the guitar a little bit when I was about 16, and then you know, I had a older girl tell me that there was nothing there was nothing better than seeing a guy with a guitar, so that kind of hooked me, you know.
Hey, I can understand. Oh, yeah. I can understand that. And then and Garry, just having Phillip and Darrell there was a real treat for you guys. I hope you continue that because I like a little picking and grinning. You know,
we've already asked Darrell to come back, and shucks, if Phillip's nice, you know, we might let him come back too.
Oh, okay, that's a pretty good deal. So, well, I've asked these two guys. You know, we love music on the Outdoors of Larry Ray. Everybody knows that I played the trumpet for 13 years. I was in the University of Arkansas marching Razorback band back in the day. They retired.
Awesome.
They retired my band uniform. They bought new ones the next year, and so I just tell everybody that. But my love of music and. But you guys got your guitars with you there right now?
We've got them.
You know it.
How about a little instrument here, Garry? You can handle that, can't you, Garry? Let's
yeah, man. Y'all rock and roll.
Let's hear some music. You got about a 3 or 4 minute song. Go for it, man. I want to hear it. What are y'all gonna do? Tell me.
Let Darrell lead this off here. It's one of his songs, I think.
This is one we just recently released. This is one of our own songs with our band Whistling Dixie.
Okay.
And it's on the charts down in Texas right now. But this is a song we wrote that means a whole lot to us. We wrote it for all the men and women that serve in our military or have ever served in our military, and we wanted to write a song to honor them and
what's the name?
Let them know how much we love and appreciate everything they do, because, you know, just like we were out fishing and enjoying, you know, the outdoors, and that would not be possible without each and every one who have ever put that uniform on. So,
all right, what's the name of it? What's the name of it?
It's called Fighting for Home.
What was
Fighting for Home.
What? What again?
Fighting for Home.
Oh, I love that. All right, let's go, guys. All right.
Also for you and me, they
Right, yeah. All right. Fighting for home. Darrell Davis out of Jasper, Arkansas, and he brought along his sidekick, Phillip Vanderpool.
There you go.
How about that, buddy? How was that, Garry? Can we get that next year? All right. So
yes, sir.
Let's
yes,
get
sir.
that.
We'll just count on it.
That is wonderful. That's Fighting for Home, and your group is called Whistling Dixie. Is that right, Darrell?
That's right. That's correct.
All right. So how do people find out about Whistling Dixie now? They've heard it on Outdoors with Larry Ray. It's going all over the internet now. Tell us.
Awesome, man. You can find us on our website, www.whistlingdixie.org.
Okay.
Or we are on Facebook as well. Whistling Dixie. We got a Whistling Dixie band page on Facebook.
Love it.
Our music is out on Spotify, iTunes, all the major streaming platforms. It's on there. So
now, is your son the drummer? Is he drumming?
My son is the drummer. Yes.
This is a 6'2", 15-year-old, right? I mean,
that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Well,
yep.
Phillip, no wonder you look short,
playing.
Phillip. I mean, you running around with tall folks there in Jasper. So,
I guarantee you. Yeah, he's got like mutton too, Jeff.
Yeah, but we also, Darrell, you did mention you got to.
Would you believe two Darrells?
Yeah, you got
the drummer / bodyguard.
That's right. But you got a B&B in Jasper too, right? Is that right, Darrell?
Yes, I have an Airbnb in Jasper as well. It's just right here, right by my house. It's Buffalo River Getaway is the name of the
River
Airbnb.
Getaway. I'm writing that down, folks, and of course, this will be going all on my website, LarryRay.com, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff, guys. That made my day. I mean, I thought I heard Garry hum it one time, but but he was a beat.
I wanted to whistle, but I didn't quite know the tune, so I thought I'd best.
No, don't whistle. Don't whistle, Garry. We don't know.
I get my duck call out though, and I'll run a tune or two on it for you.
Yeah, we'll get you and Buck Gardner sometime playing. Buck plays Jingle Bells every Christmas on Outdoors with Larry Ray with his duck call.
I do Rocky Top.
Oh no! Well, we may need a 20-second delay on that one. I don't know for sure, but
come on now, go Vols.
Hey guys, thank you, Phillip, and I love if you keep up with Phillip Vanderpool on Facebook, which I hope you do. He starts every morning with a scripture, and I'm a man of faith here, and Garry is too, and. I appreciate your testimony, Phillip. In this day and time, we need all we can get. And
I thank you very much for that. And I'm truly blessed, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we all are. I'm middle aged for a 162-year-old man, and I love it. Okay. All right.
I'll tell you what, I hope I do as well as you do when I get to your age, my friend.
All right, buddy. Well, it's great to have y'all. We're going to let you guys go, take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we'll be right back and continue this conversation from the first Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp at Blue Lake Resort on Reelfoot Lake. We'll be right back.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. Good morning to all you good folks in Brownsville on 1520 AM, 95.3 FM. Jackson, Tennessee on News Talk 101.5. And, of course, right here in Memphis on AM 790 every Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30. And we're rolling on today's show thanks to my good friend Garry Mason. Of course, you folks know Gary's the founder and CEO of Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame. He's the outdoor editor for Cypress Magazine, host of Legends of the Outdoor TV, and he's been kind enough to sit in with us, Garry, and talking about this week's first Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp at Blue Bank Resort. And Garry, you realize why I call this the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio program, right? I mean,
oh, absolutely. I've done your show many times, Larry, but I've never got to sit through a whole 90-minute show. And you're right, it's just Boy, it is rocking and rolling.
It's rocking and rolling, and we're almost at the top of the hour as it is, and I saved a whole segment for this next gentleman because a lot of you folks, many of you folks, know the career of our good friend, Missouri Outdoors communicator Bill Cooper, and he and his wife Diane were up at Blue Bank Resort this week, along with me and my wife Miriam. And Bill is one of those guys that loves what he does, like I do, and loves to get people involved in the outdoors. And so let's just say good Saturday morning, Bill Cooper. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, man. Everything's always great up here in the Missouri Ozarks.
Not to confuse with God Country's Ozarks down in Arkansas, okay? Yeah.
Well, they started in the north, and moved south. So you guys might have got the tail end of things.
That is true. Well, Bill, your impressions this past week, it was, I know Gary's listening in, but it was a wonderful 3 days. I know for me and Miriam, I'm sure you and Diane had a great time too, right?
Oh, we had an absolute blast. But I haven't known Gary Mason all that long, but one thing I've figured out about him, if the name Gary Mason's involved with it, it's going to be top notch.
Yes, yeah. And that's
what. Thank you, Bill.
And that's what it was. And Gary, you followed Bill. Who hadn't followed Bill? At last count, over 1,500 articles, hosted TV and radio shows, over a half century. We're not going to go into age of this man, but and I look back and I remember in 2016, they've never asked me to the House of Representatives, to the floor of the House of Representatives in Tennessee. And
they have not?
No, they have not. I went there one time as a guest because I think somebody was on trial or something. I don't know, but to do that and do what you do, Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, Legends Outdoor Hall of Fame, Rambling Angler Outdoors, living the dream, and I really like what me and Bill. I sat down and said, Bill, how do you do all this? And the man has mastered it because he loves what he does, has overcome some health issues, and just a wonderful guy, a great representative. And I know, Gary, when you put up that list, you said, well, I got to get old Larry and Miriam back, but I said, I sure would like to get Bill Cooper down here.
Well, I tell you what, just getting you there and Miriam and Bill and Diane there was totally a blessing for me because I got to be in the boat and around the camp with some of my heroes, and that's you guys.
Well, I know I appreciate it. Bill does too, that. But talk about this career, Bill. I mean, you undoubtedly are doing something you love, and you've gone into the podcast business. And I was taking every note I could think of from this man because if anybody's mastered it, it's Bill. And that podcast is something that you and I know. Growing up, I never thought that my dad always wanted to be a car salesman because that's what he was. And I loved to buy them, but I didn't want to sell them. But
I understand. Yeah.
But I had an uncle that took me under his wing and taught me the love of the outdoors. And I know your background. Talk about what you do, buddy. I mean, it's amazing.
Wow. Well, we didn't want to talk about age, but it's hard to do that, in discussing my career. But I was born and raised down Mississippi County, Missouri.
Yes.
Part of just right across the river from Real Foot Lake, and I heard everybody talk about Real Foot Lake. My dad would get over there once in a while, but boy, I was so poor it was hard to get across that Mississippi River. That was quite a barrier.
It was, yeah.
It was, but we did have a bayou that ran out of Mississippi right through our cotton farm, and boy, I spent every opportunity in the world to get to that bayou because I was blessed, man.
Yeah.
You never knew what you was going to catch there, but I was intrigued by the outdoors. I tell most people I was practically born in the outdoors. The old Cypress house that we lived in, we always said we had as many critters living in that house as we did outside.
Yeah.
So you dealt with them all the time. But my dad was just a phenomenal fisherman. This is honest truth. I wouldn't tell you anything but the truth being a fisherman.
Yes,
but,
there you go. All right. Can we eliminate that? Okay, go ahead.
But my father seriously was considered one of the two best fishermen in Mississippi County. The other old gentleman, he went by the name of Brother Bennett. He ran a small country store,
Yeah.
if those guys couldn't catch a lot of fish, they'd at least tell you they did. You know?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Good story to go with it. But I sat around that old country store when I got the chance. There were so many old gentlemen there, the guys that chewed the tobacco and spit on the floor and played checkers and tossed washers and all that sort of thing. Larry, I wish I'd been in the outdoor communications business at 6 or 8 years old, because I heard so many incredible tales from those gentlemen. I wish I'd had a way to record that and preserve what those guys told. And one of the funniest stories or intriguing stories I ever heard, the old gentleman had come in. He lived over on the Mississippi River and fished practically full time. And he was quite a sight to see. He had a lot of water around him, but he didn't take baths very often, you know. So
All right.
You kind of kept your distance while you listened to the story.
Yeah.
But this old gentleman came in one day talking about a huge catfish he'd caught. Long drawn out story, but when he butchered this catfish, it had a brass doorknob inside its belly and a bunch of other rubbish. You know, I never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
But a couple years later, I was reading Mark Twain's some of his tales about the Mississippi River, you know, Becky Thatcher and all those.
Oh,
folks.
yeah.
Well, he told a story about a huge catfish that was caught that had a brass doorknob in its belly. So this old gentleman had been reading Mark Twain,
and so he was taking Mark Twain's book to life then. So I mean,
yeah, he really was. But anyway, I fell in love with the outdoors in an honest sort of way, because we hunted and fished out of necessity.
Yeah,
it was a great recreational pastime. It got me out of the cotton fields once in a while.
That's right.
But by the time I was 8 years old, I was paying for my own subscription to Outdoor Life. Now, my mom, as poor as we were, did keep two good sources of reading material in the house at all times.
Yeah.
One of them was the Bible, of course.
Yeah.
And one of them was Reader's Digest. And I always told everybody I wore that Reader's Digest out, but my mom, you know, is 95 years old and still boxes my ears. She finds out I hadn't been reading my Bible.
Oh, my. So at an early age, you developed this love for the outdoors, Bill, and then you've taken it to become a writer. You become a communicator, and now in this day and time, you've come a long way from the cotton fields, buddy, to podcasts. And so I want you to tell our listeners about the evolution, and that's not a word I don't use very often on the radio here, but never in your wildest dreams did you ever think that you would be a podcaster.
Had no idea what was headed my way, but Larry, I had some tremendous people around me all life. Went to a little old country church. We'd pack 125 people in there, but there were people at church that inspired me.
Yes.
And I had some tremendous high school teachers. I was very blessed. People that I had guys that could make mathematics interesting. I had a tremendous
That's a
English
real
teacher.
Good teacher, yeah.
Yes. But I had one uncle who's the only person in our family that ever gone to college, and he made a VOAG teacher, and that guy was my inspiration. World War II hero, got shot in the back in New Guinea and didn't have the bullet removed. It hit him in the back, went clear up to his neck, and the poor guy, he got $11 a month the rest of his life for that injury.
Wow!
But great inspiration. So I went to college then. My dad had worked for the state park system at Big Oak Tree State Park, and I actually worked there some. So
really, I did not know.
Got a bachelor's in park management and a master's in outdoor education, and after college, the military, became superintendent of Merrimack Spring Park up around St. James in the Ozarks.
Beautiful place.
And, I've done some writing for them, did some writing for the military, and then took off writing for local newspapers, then some regional papers, then Game and Fish publication, Bass Pros, Cabela's Outfitters Journal, and did radio early on. I'd probably done radio for 40 years off and on. And then people got talking about podcasts. I never heard of such a thing.
Podcast, I thought that's something you put furniture in when you moved. Okay, I mean,
that sounds about right. But if we saw the transpiration take place, remember the days when we all shot Kodachrome 64 slides and had to send them off, and you held your breath to see what you got and all that sort of thing. And then 20, 30 years ago, boy, this digital stuff started coming on the scene. And has it ever changed our lives? Scared me to death when it first happened. But
now,
what would we do without it now?
Well, that's what again, and we only got a couple of more minutes, Bill, and we're talking to Bill Cooper again, our good friend, Missouri outdoor communicator. So where can people go now? Because I know you got, Living the Dream? Is that one? I mean, what's
Yeah, that's the podcast, Living the Dream Outdoor Properties. They're actually a real estate company, handle the big, beautiful farms and ranchers. Great outdoorsmen, and I do the podcast for them. And bless their hearts, they kind of let me do what I want to. Once in a while, we'll talk about a piece of property, but most of the time, we're talking hunting and fishing and floating down the rivers and cooking and whatever outdoor topic you can come up with. But that's on about a dozen different social media platforms. I listen to it on audioboom.com, but you can find it many other places as well.
And you did a podcast or two at Reelfoot, right? I mean,
absolutely, man. That's a gold mine of information, and again, Gary Mason does such a tremendous job of bringing well-known folks into these.
You just
events.
did it, and we're out of time here, but you can go to Bill Cooper, just Google him, put Outdoor Communicator on there. So Living the Dream. I know you did one with Jeremy Madley. I saw you sitting in the boat there. And this man takes his equipment wherever he goes, but he's like me. He better have his wife with him to keep him straight, okay? I mean, we both knew that, and we're going to get you back on, Bill. We can't just do one segment with you because we got to talk about some other things because you and I, we're veterans of this thing, buddy, and we've seen some changes in this life. I know I have in my 50-something years of being an outdoor writer, but
absolutely.
We appreciate you. Tell Diane hello, and we'll be back. Don't give up on us. We'll be back with you, Bill. Okay, buddy?
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right. Have a great weekend. Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. And you folks out there, if you've been listening to me over the years, you know one of my favorite places to visit is Blue Bank Resort. I can still see Mike Hayes, his mom, out there sculling around catching crappie and bluegill. If you don't know what sculling is, you're just too young. I'm telling you right there, because I had an uncle who was a world champion sculler. The only problem was that one arm was bigger than the other, simply because of how he could work that thing. But we had a great time at the first Mike Hayes Memorial Outdoor Riders Camp at Blue Bank Resort on Reelfoot Lake, and we've devoted this show to this Saturday morning to that camp, and we've got on with us as our co-host, and really appreciate him. He mentioned that he's been on the show many times, but he's never sat through all 90 minutes. And I've got to ask Gary Mason, are we too slow, Gary? Are we still in the first segment? Or are we?
I tell you what, this thing is going fast, and of course the great guests that we've had on today, and man, I tell you, there's no time for sleeping on this radio show.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. We do those 6 segments. We roll them out, and always a privilege to talk to anybody that's a guide up at Reelfoot Lake, and this guy's been doing it for a while. Good to have Jeff Riddle on us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Glad to have you, buddy. And we've got a guy on with us that I've been wanting to get on because he has a lot of connections in this area, and once he found out that I was not going to grill him or anything like that, we're just going to have fun. And I said, Lee Means, can you be on Outdoors with Larry Ray? And he said, let me check. And it didn't take him long to check. He found out, that guy must be all right. Go ahead and do it. So, hey, we got Lee Means on with us. He's the regional sales manager, Marine, for our good friends at Garmin. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning. Yeah, happy to be here.
Happy to have you on, Lee. And let's let's talk first with you, Jeff, and you kind of hang on as Lee talks about it, and exactly explain what you do for Garmin.
So I'm the regional sales manager, part of the sales side of the team. My respective territory is Tennessee, North Alabama, North Mississippi, and inland Georgia. So I handle mainly inland products, as we call it, so translates into the freshwater world. And it's basically the last 4 or 5 years, it's been all about live scope.
And I did notice, Lee, there was a lot of live scoping going up at Reelfoot this week. And I noticed that myself. The evolution of this is amazing, and Garmin has been at the front of that. When you try to explain to somebody what that is, and Jeff can kind of probably jump in on, talk about live scoping.
Yeah, for those, at the very, very basic level who aren't familiar with it, because it's kind of hard not to run into somebody who doesn't know what it is these days, who
it is. Yes.
Considers himself an avid fisherman. But it's live sonar technology. So what you're seeing translated through the screen that accompanies the transducer is a live image. It's in real time, where traditional sonar has been basically looking at history. So Garmin's kind of on the pointy end of the spear as far as popularity with that these days. And actually, I didn't know Jeff was going to be on the same time as me, I'll admit, but I was happy to hear it because I was in the boat with Jeff over the Riders Camp. And Jeff definitely has a very good grasp on how to use live scope. And it was really interesting and fun hanging out and fishing with him and watching him do his thing with live scope.
Talk about that, Jeff. That's why I wanted you and Lee to be on at the same time. I've seen Jeff's boat. You can't miss it, buddy. His name is on there, but it's equipment that what counts. So talk about live scope, Jeff. I mean, you've adapted it so well, buddy, and I know your career is well known as an angler. Talk about it.
Well, that's just like at the Riders Camp. We took the perspective mode of Garmin, and we would just take off down a shoreline and scan until we seen a bluegill bed.
Amazing.
And we would just put the power poles down and sit there until the fish quit moving around on the bed. We knew they wasn't active anymore, and we'd pull up power poles and go to the next. And it's just for a guide, this Garmin has made our work a lot easier.
And Garry, you know those guides at Reelfoot, and now the ability to do that, and how important is it? I was amazed. Of course, I think everybody out in the boat I was in had it, but these guys at Reelfoot, to find these beds, and we sit there. So talk about that. You've seen that, Garry, over the years.
Oh yeah, the first person that I ever seen win a bass tournament with a live scope was a guy on my fishing team for Bethel University, Cody Huff.
Yes,
he
that's
won
right.
A tournament down at Toledo Bend about 6 years ago with a live scope, and everybody was talking about it. And he went down with the college tournament. He went back down the next week and won an open down.
He sure did
on the same lake.
Yeah.
And I want to say and go on record as saying that Reelfoot Lake is probably, if live scope was made to use anywhere, Reelfoot Lake was where it was made to use, because with all those trees and underwater structure and everything, those guys can pull up and crappie fish, and they can bluegill fish. They can even bass fish on that lake with that technology, and man, it's awesome.
Well, Jeff, follow up on that from your perspective as an angler who's fished at a lot of locations, and Reelfoot just about better than anybody up there. What about that?
Well, when the Garmin first come out, I'm not going to lie, I really didn't like it because I didn't know how to use it.
That's right.
But once I kept, using it and got good with it, I can't imagine getting in the boat and going fishing without a Garmin live scope. I think if that's the one thing, if it didn't work, I'd have to turn around and come in. I mean, because it helps us, especially with a crappie in the summertime on Reelfoot.
Yes.
When they get done spawning, they go back out to the deep water and they get around the stumps.
Yeah.
And they get inactive. They don't want to move around. They'll feed, but you've got to put a bait right in their face. And I've guided my whole life. And to the live scope come out, we did not catch good crappie in the summertime at Reelfoot, but now with the live scope, pull up there and aggravate him till he bites or run off. Is what I always say.
and Lee, I know, had you been to Reelfoot before?
Yes, I have.
And what about Reelfoot, as Jeff was just talking about, from the Garmin perspective?
Yeah, it's kind of to play on a pun of words, if you will. When you mention perspective, there's actually a perspective mode now that we came out with post the original release of the forward-facing.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
So perspective for people too is that it's a shallow water tool.
It is.
And you manually put the transducer onto its side, but you think perspective, you think 11 foot or less, and that's exactly the mode that Jeff was running it in the other day.
Yeah.
And that allows you to be in that shallow water. And as people are familiar with Reelfoot, it does have deeper areas, but the average of that lake is considered probably a shallower lake. I consider the Tennessee River my home, and it's not, you're not looking at like 60-foot ledges and stuff out on Reelfoot Lake. So this time of year, particularly with the bluegill where they were on their beds and whatnot, putting it in that perspective mode for that shallow water that's what it was built to do. But yeah, Reelfoot's a super special place, and like Jeff was saying, and Garry was saying, that's what that was designed to do. The crappie and panfish guys, to their credit, got on the live scope a lot quicker than the bass fishermen did.
They did. Yeah, they did. And Jeff, you've been doing it a long time. What makes Reelfoot special to you, Jeff?
Well, I'm 4 generations of hunting, fishing guide, and commercial fisherman on Reelfoot, and I really don't know anything else. I'll be honest. It's a very, very special place to me, and it's given me the opportunity to meet a lot of nice, very nice people.
Well,
and talking about the perspective, talk about Lee there the other day. A couple of times I would scan a treetop, and he was looking for a bass reel in the boat.
He was. Oh man. Okay.
Well, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but and I think Lee will back me up on this. But not only does Lee rep for Garmin, they also now have Navionics, the Navionics system. And is that correct?
Correct.
Lee?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Garmin bought Navionics about maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we've integrated all that mapping and cartography into our units, and it's some of the best mapping out there for sure.
Well, talk about Lee being at Reelfoot. What'd you like about those 3 days at Reelfoot?
Well, like I said, I've been up there before. It's part of the territory I cover, but just to be forthright, we've got a great relationship with Mr. Garry Mason with Garmin and Bethel University. So being there and kind of seeing Gary's been putting these rider camps on, from what I understand, for a long time. So it was nice to just be around people that, and Garry kind of pulled me aside at one point and said, I told him, I said, man, that's the most fun I've had bluegill fishing and since I can remember, and it's a nice reprieve from, the day-to-day stuff. We're there to obviously get some work done, but it's just a fun time. And I was telling Jeff in the boat the other day, I've read the I believe it's Vanderwood's or Vanderbilt's book about the night riders of Reelfoot Lake.
Oh yeah, I told you, I was telling you about a lot of history there, buddy. Yeah.
A lot of history, and I'm kind of a self-admitted history nerd in a way. And
oh man,
there's a mystique about that area. It's a special place.
Yeah.
Not just the lake, but I mean just the surrounding area. We talked hunting as well, and I look for excuses to get up there. I really love that part of the country. It's beautiful.
Well, we appreciate you being there. Hey Jeff, tell our listeners if anybody needs to get in touch with you, they want to fish with Jeff Riddle, what do they got to do?
All they got to do, I've got a website that is jeffriddlesguideservice.com.
That's it. Yeah.
That's all you got to do. And I also want to mention that, all of this stuff wouldn't go on without Garry. And I hope you realize, Garry, how much we all appreciate what you do for all of us.
Well,
I thank you, Jeff. It means a lot. And you guys are such a great bunch of guys down there. And, I guided for 38 years on Kentucky Lake, but y'all have always made me feel right at home being at Reelfoot. And I thank the world for all of you, and man, we can't wait to get back down there. And I want to do a duck hunt with you this year, and I'm gonna bring Lee.
That sounds good.
Well,
that sounds good to me too.
Yeah. Well, leave the light bulb on. Leave the light on. You might bring somebody even older than Lee there. Okay.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Huh? Yeah, I could do
I don't
that.
know if we could handle that.
You don't think you can handle that, Jeff? Okay.
Oh yeah, we can do it.
Yeah.
Listen, between me and you, we can keep Larry eating. I tell you, last time I duck hunted with Jeff, they fixed crappie and beans and coleslaw and everything in the duck blind.
Well, I knew before this show would get over, and I thought it might be Jeff. We talk food. Okay, that's good. That's fine with me, though. Hey, guys, thank y'all. Lee, good to meet you, buddy. I got your number now. We'll talk again because, as you can see, we're really serious on this show, okay?
Yeah, sounds good, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Jeff, thank you, buddy. I need to fish with you now next time. Okay, man? All right?
That sounds good. And, Lee, I enjoyed fishing with you also, man. I really enjoyed it.
All right.
Likewise. We'll do it again.
You guys have a great weekend, and we're going to take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We're going to wrap it up with Jeff Milam, and we're going to talk 80 Below Sporting Oil right here on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. I don't know how many times I've said that over the last 24 years, just about. But, hey, we're about to wrap up the fastest 90 minutes of outdoor radio programming. I told somebody one time, this is we're going into our last segment, and everybody thought I was quitting. No. We're in the home stretch right now. And this next gentleman on the phone, Garry Mason, is my co-host. You've known this guy a lot longer than I have known him, but you seem like you keep putting us in the same boat. So I get kind of nervous because I don't know why poor old Jeff is developing me in the boat with him. But it's good to. It's always good to have a Tennessee guy on the last segment of Outdoors with Larry Ray, and that's our good friend Jeff Milam, the 80 Below Sporting Oil Company, the president right out of Decatur, Parsons, Tennessee, right? I mean,
Decaturville.
Huh? Decaturville. All right. Well, Garry, why don't you introduce Jeff for us?
Oh, man, I'll be glad to. You know, Jeff's one of my best friends on this planet, and we travel a lot together, and Jeff Milam has come up with what I consider to be the best oil to go on any moving part of anything. I mean, you can put this stuff on a locomotive and park it in a doghouse. It's that slick. But Jeff Milam is the president and CEO of 80 Below. Well, actually, really, his lovely bride carries all those positions. And Jeff just works for her. But
that's right.
Jeff Milam, it's fun to go fishing and hunt together, ain't it?
Well, Jeff, thank you, Garry, and we're glad to have Jeff on the show. And we did share the boat like we have every year, and it's always a kick. And it makes it even better when Jeff starts taking the fish off the hook for me and trying to do those kind of things. And he knows that I'm back there. I mean, every once in a while he'll look back there to see if I'm still on the end of the boat. But it was a lot of fun, Jeff. Talk about the time up at Reelfoot. It was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, man, what could you say? The weather was great. We thought we were going to get out there and just fry, but actually it was overcast and it's cool and just unbelievable, really. And I was taking them off the hook for you, Larry, because, you know, you were a little bit behind. I was trying to get you back in the water.
I know you're that's right. Well, my fish seemed to swallow my hook. I don't know why, but anyway, this is a chance to not only have some R&R, but at the same time to showcase your product. And Garry just mentioned them. So tell our listeners out there, if they're not familiar with 80 Below, you should be, folks. My friend Dave Gabbert, and Jeff knows Dave. Dave is co-host of this show once a month on the first Saturday normally, and he lives in Lexington, former TWRA officer, and he is my gunman. He reloads for my 270 and things like that, and he raves about 80 Below. So tell our listeners a little bit about the company itself, Jeff. And as Garry says, man, What a product.
Oh man, I don't know. I always love to go to Canada and shoot cold weather ducks, and it's as good. And people say, hey, don't just say cold weather. It's as good in hot weather as it's cold weather, but it really doesn't matter. It's just an ingredient, that we develop to keep the gun shooting. Basically, it just don't let a gun gum up. Foul up in cold weather, It just keeps cycling. Even you put it on your pistol slides, your guns, you clean your barrels out with it, rifling, it doesn't really matter what you're doing with it. It's going to clean, it's going to lube, and it's going to protect whatever you put it on. Drop a gun in the lake, you don't have to worry about it. Leave it a couple of weeks. Not by accident. You just go back, finally find it, and there it is,
And Gary, from knowing Jeff for a long time, this product, you wouldn't be talking about it if you didn't believe in it. And so
I absolutely believe in it. I tell you, I've used this on lots of stuff besides guns. I use it on my fishing line. I use it on my reels. I used it on the sliding glass door on our patio door one time.
Are you serious?
I tell everybody, I tell everybody that I put it on there in January and didn't have to reapply until February the next year. I mean, this stuff, it bonds with the metal. It does not gum it up, whatever you put it on. I got a toolbox down here, a Craftsman toolbox that I put it on a couple of years ago, and drawers still never bind when I open them and close them. And
my goodness!
And somebody said, "Well, you just don't work on stuff much." I said, "You need to come to my house."
You do it.
Always broke down.
And Jeff, the company itself, tell us a little about the history of the company.
Well, I was an oil distributor for years with another company, and we did a lot of plant service and did a lot of chain implants and a lot of freezers and cold weather applications and just cold industry, like I say, the freezers, ball egg plants and stuff like that. And I ran into a nucleus that I knew would work, and I got with a chemist and told the chemist to help us with this. My partner and I at the time we was trying to get something that would make a gun or anything in the outdoors respond like it should. And like I say, we'd go into Canada and just get up there and get very disappointed when those big old geese would put their feet down and raise up and just snap or didn't shoot or shot one time. But this stuff would change the game, and it would actually change your life if you just try it.
And the name itself, I know you've talked about it, but tell our listeners maybe haven't heard how in the world 80 below became the name.
Well, that's about where it goes down to, 80 below. It actually go down to about 100 degrees. We give ourselves a little bit of.
Are you serious?
It
will actually go down below 80 below.
It'll go a little bit below 80 below. It's just.
I want to see Gary Mason and you hunting in 80 below, okay?
We don't have to worry about that. But, up in Alaska, that wind gets to blowing, wind chill, stuff like that. You're 35 below, the wind chill 70 below, and, you thinking stuff's, it happens, I've sold it in Alaska. I've sold it in a lot of places now. So.
But the name, that's a winner. I mean, everybody can remember 80 below. I mean, you if you'd have named it Jeff's Sporting Oil, I'm sorry, Jeff. I like your first name, and you spell it the correct way. I know it. But at the same time, 80 below is a winner that all of us can remember. And again, we're talking to Jeff Milam of 80 Below Sporting Oil Company. And I got to ask you, Jeff, you've been to Reelfoot many times. What makes that place special to you?
Well, I don't. It's just the scenery, kind of the mystique side of Reelfoot that it really actually formed from an earthquake maybe, and back in the early 1800s.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know if you're a hunter or a fisherman, you see that it kind of puts cold chills up and down your back at sunset and the early mornings there when you're riding across that lake. It's pretty amazing, pretty special place.
And that lake, the wonder about it, and Gary knows this better than anybody by what he's done over the years. There is no off season at Reelfoot Lake, right, Gary? I mean,
no, that's right. That's right. Them guys that guide up there and everybody that has resorts and stuff, they never take off. And one thing I tell people, you can go to Reelfoot Lake and you can rent a boat and you can go out there and fish on your own. But I highly suggest that you get a guide at least the first day and just learn how he's doing it and what he's doing, and then go out there and try it on your own if you want to. But those guys up there, every one of them are phenomenal fishermen, but they're even better guides because I've never met a guide on Real Foot yet that wasn't trying to teach you to be a better fisherman and a better waterfowl hunter. And they're not just there to take your money. They actually want to give back and see you be good at what you love doing after you've gone with them.
I think that the resiliency of that community up there since December a year ago when the tornado came through, and we know how that everybody bonded together in the community, whether you're in Hornbeak, Sandburg, or Blue Bank, or wherever you might have been. That yes, Tiptonville, all through there, and I know it's the only place I know that we talked about earlier that you can get a great sunset picture, and you look 4 miles over, and there's the state prison, and you can think about, well, there's two different correlations right there at Reelfoot Lake. But hey, Jeff, I appreciate you, buddy, being with us. Always have fun. I know the rooster's crowing. You need to get up and get out of there. I don't know if that's you or what, but always fun to be in the boat with you. Thanks for putting up with me too, Jeff. Okay.
Hey, man, we had a great time.
Yeah,
tell your wife we'll try it again next year.
We'll do it again next year, Jeff. And I'll be right there with you because Gary's going to make sure of that, because I really think you're videoing it someplace, and Gary's going to come back at me someday. I think it is. So,
we'll all plan on getting together. We'll all plan on getting together again up there next year and having a good time with old friends and maybe a few new ones.
You said old. He knows who he's talking about. That's for sure. All right, Jeff. Thank you, buddy. Talk to you, buddy.
I appreciate
have
you
a great.
Guys have a be on. Thank
all right,
you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Jeff Milam, and we got a couple of minutes here, and I want to salute Mr. Mason there, not Perry Mason, but Garry Mason, because he took my wife under his wing, and right out, I think it was the first time in the boat, he said, "Man, you got a wife that can fish. How'd you get her?"
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
she caught a big old catfish fishing with me. And,
that's right.
And,
you still remember.
She played it just right, got it right up to the net, did everything I asked her to do, and we got her picture, and she said, first thing she said was, "I'm going to go ahead and turn this one back loose."
Yes, she did. Yeah. And but our hats off to you, Garry, for what you do, and as many lives as you have touched in your family and everything. Man, I know you put a lot into what you do, and I know you love what you're doing, but you're doing it the right way. And so we're looking forward. Tell them when that Legends of the Outdoors is again now.
Legends of the Outdoors this year is going to be on August the 17th in Springfield, Missouri. There's still a few tickets and a few tables left.
There you go, folks.
Although,
yeah.
They won't be left long because we've already just about sold out the Anglers Lodge Hotel there across from the John A. and Jenny Morris Convention Center at Bass Pro Shops where we host the event. But you can still contact us by calling 731-693-7770, and we'll hook you up with tickets or a table or a sponsorship or whatever you need.
This will be what, 22? Or is it 22?
22nd annual, yeah.
22nd annual, folks. And you can go to LarryRay.com. We've got the press release and all the names. There's some big ones. Of course, Garry and his committee do a great job. You know, I've tried to be up there every year I can. Even with my cancer, I was up there, and well, what a humble moment. But it's I tell you, if you want to go to an event, folks, that gives you goosebumps, you go to the Legends of the Outdoor Hall of Fame. It starts in the morning. What, Garry? 9 o'clock, so 10 o'clock, and
doors open at 9 o'clock. We start the event at 10, and it usually goes till about 3:30. Yes. We feed you a great lunch meal during. We've had great silent auction, some entertainment.
Yes.
Some good country music entertainment, and we have a big time.
We do. Garry Mason, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for all you do, and thanks for going 90 minutes on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll let you go take a nap this morning, but tell your wife hello and everybody hello up there, and we'll stay in touch. Okay, buddy? All right?
Sounds good. I'm going fishing. We'll see you soon.
See you, Garry. Okay. Garry Mason. All right, let me tell you about next week's show real quickly. Yes, the Mr. Wong will be in the show next week. We'll try to get Dave Gabbard in. Also, we are going to talk to some folks. I know we're going to talk to Jeremy Mattingly, and we're going to talk to Caleb Dunn, and we're trying to hook up with Jack Wells of B&N. A lot of fun on next week's show. Shelby McCall, thank you. I wish you had brought your trumpet now and had all this music and everything. But this is Larry Ray reminding you to do each and every week. It doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. God bless the USA.